Hello everyone, my name is Soraya Perrone and I will be talking today about Morocco's energy security and strategy. So this is kind of the outline of my project. I did a little bit of an introduction where I kind of introduced Morocco's historical background as well as a brief overview of its energy situation. And then I went into the need for energy. So this is both energy source and security. So went into some energy background for the country, the current energy situation that it faces, and then the current energy security situation it faces. Then I went into the NES and PNAP, so those are both plans begun by the Moroccan government, and analyzed these plans in terms of what they are meant to do. And from there I went into development from planning. So this kind of was more of an analysis of if development actually occurred from the planning stage of the NES and PNAP, specifically focusing on solar, wind, and other renewable energies. From there, I went into results, challenges, and solutions. So these is results of the development, challenges facing development and the strategy, and solutions to those challenges. So specifically focusing on renewable energy growth, and then the challenges of policy, finance, infrastructure, and knowledge. And then I wrapped it up with a quick conclusion. So for my research question, I kind of chose to do an empirical study about how Morocco pursues energy security. And my research question in this vein was, how successfully has Morocco pursued energy security through its national energy strategy and national plan of priority actions? So with this in mind, here's some analysis. So to start us at a starting point, rising economic growth has led to increased energy needs. As an idea, Morocco is currently the 5th largest African economy by GDP and the 2nd largest non-oil GDP economy in the Arab world. And this keeps growing, and Morocco has focused on economy growth for the past 25 years. However, that has also meant for an increase of energy need. So the average demand for the past decade has been about 5 to 7% per year. Sorry, I meant over the last 25 years. But this is expected to increase in the following decade. Some estimates place it from anywhere from 8 to 11% growth per year. In conjunction with that, in 2008, the same year that they decided to launch both of these plans, 96% of energy needs were met by imports. Of those imports, 81% was from fossil fuels, 56% was just of coal. So this is quite high if you consider how much energy is being created by fossil fuel and also how much energy is only made by imports. And if we think about how much money is being set aside to buy those imports to ensure that Morocco has energy, kind of places them in a precarious energy security situation, as well as a kind of precarious economic situation, given that they cannot control for cost or anything like that. So it was kind of made obvious that there was a need to change something in terms of the energy strategy. So while they have kind of low available fossil fuels, they have very few fossil fuels domestically, they do have a very high potential for renewable energy. Worldwide, they have the 9th highest potential for solar energy and the 31st highest potential for wind. So with that in mind, in April of 2008, the Moroccan government launched the NES and the PNAP. The NES was specifically geared towards developing renewable energy to meet 20% of energy needs by 2020, increase energy efficiency to meet 12% by 2020, and 15% by 2030. And then the PNAP had 4 specific axes: security of supply with diversification of fuel types and origins, access to energy for all segments of society at competitive prices, promotion of renewable energy and energy efficiency, and regional energy integration among the Euro-Mediterranean markets. So in order to do all of that, Morocco set about creating some legal reforms, institutions, and financial mechanisms. So in terms of legal reforms, they were specifically relating to renewable energy, creating the Moroccan Agency for Solar Energy, MASEN, you can see it there, relating to energy efficiency, creating the National Agency for the Promotion of Renewable Energy and Energy Conservation. Then they set about also institution building. So this kind of helps create that kind of framework in which renewable energy products can be pursued. So specifically ONEE, IRESEN, and MASEN. So the ONEE is the National Office of Electricity and Potable Water. IRESEN is the Institute for Research in Solar Energy and New Energy, and as mentioned before, MASEN is for solar energy. And then they established some financial mechanisms for renewable energy products to have the financing necessary if they are deemed to be viable projects. So the FDE is the Fonds de Développement de l'Énergie, and it currently has $1 billion in store. The SIE is the Société d'Investissement Énergétique, and that is to kind of work with the FDE in terms of providing equity investments for researchers and developers. And then lastly, Morocco has also taken advantage of the Clean Technology Fund, CTF, and that currently has $150 million set aside. And these are all to kind of help boost renewable energy development within the country. Then in terms of development, we've actually also seen significant development of actual resources and actual renewable energy projects. So in terms of wind farms have seen the most development, mostly because the technology for them is well established, and in terms of pricing, they are less expensive to establish than solar plants. So currently, Morocco has 4 established wind farms with 5 under construction. So to put that into some numbers, that means that they have 286 megawatts of capacity installed, 800 megawatts under construction, and while that pales in comparison to their potential 2,600 gigawatts of energy capacity, it certainly is much higher than they had before. Solar energy is significantly lower. As mentioned, it is more expensive, and technology-wise, it's a little bit more difficult, but they have 5 plants under construction. One is operational, one is nearly done, and it's the biggest one is Ouarzazate, and that's set to come online sometime near the end of the year. Here too, the potential is much higher than the actual, but their building of these plants with the fact that 5 are under construction certainly shows that they are trying to meet that potential in some way. Hydropower stations and bioenergy products are significantly less than wind farms and solar plants. Hydropower tends to have a difficulty in Morocco simply due to the drought and the lack of constant access to water. And while there are significant rivers and dam systems set up, the potential is not as high as for wind and solar power. And in terms of bioenergy products, while Morocco does create a ton of biomass and bio-waste that can easily be renewed, it does need significant technology and financing. And unlike wind farms and solar plants, the technology for bioenergy products isn't yet as common or as understood and hammered down. So while wind farms and solar plants are definitely the best bet at the moment, it's definitely possible that bioenergy products can maybe be a bigger part of the future of Morocco's energy plan. So with all of this in mind, this resulted in a significant move towards their goals. So by 2015, 16.2% of domestic energy was created from hydroelectric plants, and 12% was from other renewable energies resources. So this means that they've already busted their goal, so to say. They're at about 32% by 2015, and their goal was 20% by 2020. So what we can expect by 2020 is even higher if they do continue building and developing their resources in such a way. And it is even possible, if they do reach the full potential of their wind and solar plants, especially, that they could even export some of this renewable energy and add that to the economy, especially to Europe through Spain and to other North African countries through Algeria. So in conclusion, So there are significant challenges to the national energy strategy, and while this is a great start, it is important to know that there is work that must continue to be done. So in terms of policy, further elaboration, especially regarding incentives for renewable energy producers and investors, is a must. So right now, the policy making that has been done is a great first step and it's a great base work, but there is definitely much work to be done. In terms of finance, while they have set up financial mechanisms, there is definitely much more money that needs to go into it. And while it may seem like a lot of money, I think it's definitely understood that the payback will be much higher. But there is much work to be done in terms of adding more financial options. Infrastructure is a specifically large issue simply due to the age and the system that Morocco currently runs its electricity on. So there are significant updates that need to be done to support the increase of electricity from renewable resources and to support just added electricity. As I've mentioned before, energy consumption is rising every single year, and that's putting more pressure on the grid. And specifically, Morocco does have a weak electricity grid that hasn't been updated in a long time, so that is a significant issue. And then lastly, in terms of knowledge, research and development capacities are simply not sufficient to support the scope of Morocco's strategy. In terms of the technology and the research that's being done in the country at the moment, it is just a little bit lacking in order to reach the full potential of that national energy strategy. However, if we do keep these challenges in mind, Morocco also has access to several international and regional initiatives that can aid it to fix many of its issues. For example, the Mediterranean Solar Plan, Desertec Industries, Transgede Medgrid, the International Renewable Energy Agency, and as mentioned before, in the Clean Technology Fund. So it is really just a matter of Morocco kind of taking its challenges in stride and reaching out to initiatives that can definitely help it in working on its policy, developing more financial options, working on its infrastructure, and bringing in the knowledge that it needs in order to fully reach its full potential. With this all in mind, Morocco has made significant progress towards bettering its energy security and implementing their energy strategy. If we consider where it was before in 2008 of nearly 96% energy coming from imports, while it's only 32% now from renewable, that is a significant increase and can be said to be like a significant improvement. They have set forth various measures to manage energy, develop sustainable renewable energies, and energy efficiency measures that can be continued on in the future. They've implemented legal reforms, built institutions, developed financial mechanisms, developed renewable energy projects, and really set the base groundwork for a building of this energy strategy. And doing all of this has kind of made it a pioneer. So it is a pioneer among MENA countries, and it's overall being considered an ambitious country for such a developing and emerging economy. All in all, Morocco has made significant progress towards truly achieving better energy security for itself, as well as placing itself pretty high in terms of efforts being made to really enhance renewable energy and take advantage of the resources it does have. With that in mind, thank you so much.